Dan, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm looking out the window of my home office right now. I can't see two houses down. Is it snowing like this down there by you guys?
Oh, wow. It's dark here, Dan, so we can't really
Yeah,
tell you
we
an accurate
Oh,
answer.
yeah we
yeah,
are.
it's coming. It's coming right
Oh,
now.
my gosh.
So is
Fair
that
weather.
is it gonna last through the Rams game? Is that what you're telling
Yeah,
us?
I think right until the final kick of Sunday night, it's going to be nonstop snow.
Winter is coming and hell is coming for breakfast. Is that what it is? Is that the way it works?
And I know the whole bear weather thing is considered, silly in some circles, but this is a team of people that are located in a warm weather climate. We know that they are a bunch of guys that like to flaunt that by walking around in their speedos and rubbing oil on themselves and maybe hanging out by their little kidney-shaped pool. But they're coming here now. Damn it, Dan.
If you want to get in the water, you're going to have to get in Lake Michigan and do a polar plunge. But to your point, like I really think like here's one little subplot to this week with this weather. They've got a rookie kicker in Harrison Mevis. The Bears have Cairo Santos, who might be one of the most underrated players on this team right now, and that could factor into Sunday's game with a guy that knows how to operate in these elements in big moments, and another guy that is navigating it for the first time.
It's a great point because the Packers left 7 points on the field
Yeah.
with Brandon McManus after he was iced 2 field goals and an extra point, which were key in that outcome. Dan, I want to talk about the offensive line and what to expect at left tackle. We know Ozzie Chapillo is out, and I think they'll miss him more than maybe they expected. Are we just to assume Theo Benedict will start? We know Braxton Jones was activated, and if Braxton Jones is not the starter, will he just assume the jumbo tackle because the Bears have been using 3?
Yeah, well, I would assume that Benedette would be your starter, and you would stick with that plan going forward. We'll get a chance to hear from Ben today to see if he's got anything else in mind, if he's willing to share this early in the week. But look, like that's a big deal here because you are facing a Rams defense that's got some beasts coming off the edge with Verse and Byron Young, and you're going to have a protection plan. Now, I think over the last 4 months, we've gained a lot of confidence in Ben Johnson's ability to understand what he's got and what he doesn't for a given game and to be able to plan accordingly. And so we'll see what he cooks up. But the Trapillo injury, the TJ Edwards injury, those are big deals as you get deeper in the playoffs and you play an opponent as solid and complete as this Rams team seems to be.
I don't know how to word this question, but what I want to determine is who is their worst cornerback, talking about the Bears, versus their best cornerback. In other words, if you needed to have someone travel or stay with a guy like Puka Nacua, do they have a player that can do that, or do they have a player that you definitely don't want to do that?
Well, the problem with today's NFL is when you try to travel with a guy as versatile as Puka Nacua, you're left moving people into positions that they're not comfortable with. You may have to go in the slot a bunch, and then you're gonna, if you have a guy that you think can travel, then how does he handle, run support from the slot? So I don't think that's going to be an option this week. They also have Devontae Adams, and so it's not like there's just
Right,
one receiver
right.
here that you key on. And so this secondary is going to be huge in this game, Mully, because this is a absolutely potent Rams offense at their best. They've got a experienced signal caller. They've got these two receivers that combined for 25 touchdowns total during the regular season and then put their fingerprints all over that playoff game as well. And so you're not going to get away with much. The margin for error is much thinner this week. I really do think that the Rams are the more complete team, but you just have to be better than them for 3 hours on Sunday afternoon. And that's what these next 4 days are about, is finding a way to do that.
So, Dan, what are they saying behind the scenes about the possibility of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson contributing this week? And even if he can't go, regardless, what are your expectations for Kyler Gordon now that he's gotten maybe his feet back and maybe more in game shape?
Very interesting on Saturday night, David, to see kind of Gordon not see the field very early and then see it a lot from that point on. And obviously, I think he had a couple opportunities to make plays on the ball, wasn't able to get it done and wasn't certainly at his sharpest. But you do see a guy in there that can give you your versatility, your creativity as a defense. I think the second half last week, we saw the Bears get a little bit more innovative with the way that they tried to pressure Jordan Love. They got their defense humming a little bit and allowed them to keep the door open for the Iceman and company to come back and stage that rally. And so you want as many guys available to you as possible. We'll see where CJ Gardner-Johnson is with his recovery from the concussion when we get out there today. I think just even having him available allows you to, again, be creative and do some different things with your packages on the back end. And you're trying to find answers for a quarterback who's seen it all, right? Like Matthew Stafford is really, really good. He's having an MVP caliber season. I mean, you look at his numbers and it's the 46 touchdowns against 8 interceptions this season. Like that'll jump off the page at you. And we've seen enough of Stafford over the last, 15 plus years to know how dangerous he can be if you're not able to disrupt him at all.
So the margin for error is much thinner, is the way that you put it. And it's well spoken. I'm just wondering, what's the margin for fourth down attempts from your own 32? I'm serious about that.
No, I know.
Are there any verbotens in your mind as you look at how you put this game plan together, et cetera?
Well, I said going into that game last week that fourth down was going to be something that I was sort of fixated on. And boy, did that come out to be true with the Bears, really 2 for 6 on fourth downs offensively in that game. And the one deep in their own territory that you mentioned felt like one that was, I think everyone was kind of like, I get it. I know you wanted to be aggressive tonight, but this feels really dangerous. And lo and behold, they didn't get it. Pass gets knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Packers going for a very short field score, and it's 21-3, and you felt like your chances of winning that football game were gone. And so those decisions are huge. Sean McVay had one in the first half of his game on whether to go or kick a field goal. Chose to go, didn't get it, left the door open for the Panthers to come back and eventually take a lead. And so these two guys are obviously going to be aggressive. They're going to do what they believe in, but it's going to come with stakes, right? And then these are high leverage, high stakes moments in the playoffs. And so look, I know Ben is very specific week to week on what his philosophy is. I don't know if it will change from the wild card round to the divisional round, but certainly eyes wide on fourth downs and see what those decisions are and what's at stake when they make them.
Dan, along those lines, and maybe this is repetitive or redundant to ask, but in that first playoff game, given this is the first glimpse we had of Ben Johnson, playoff coach, did you learn anything maybe you didn't know or expect from the Bears head coach in that game?
Good question. I mean, I think what we confirmed after the game is that he's really into it. His willingness to express himself is certainly something that I think we all sort of appreciate and admire, and it's really added to the theater and the storyline of the season is just the way that passion goes. Look, Cole Kmet said something to me at the end of the Giants game where he said Ben's got sort of almost an unnatural calm when it feels like you need to be hurrying up a little bit, when the deficit is big and you're like, come on, we got to get rolling. And yet you see kind of this collective calm between him and Caleb of not being frazzled and not feeling overly urgent when things are very urgent, And so I think that was something that showed up again on Saturday night, was their ability to say, hey, we're still here. We're still knocking, and not get sort of down and defeated before it was time to get down and defeated, and to see them come back again. Like, this isn't a fluke anymore. This is who they are. This is their identity. And I think a lot of that has to do with the mentality of the head coach and the quarterback.
I just wonder, when we look at that, they did a very good job in reducing any penalties in that game. That was nice to see. They obviously left it awful late, as we all know, and that was great that they could do it. But it just feels like the running game still isn't getting going. They got 3 points early, but that was it for the first half. There are certain things that we're kind of monitoring and hoping will shift or change, and they really didn't. I wonder if that will hold up. I mean, as you go through the playoffs, you face better, more dangerous teams, and certainly, Matthew Stafford, arguably the MVP of the league this year, and you mentioned the two receivers and their offense and the play caller. I mean, this would seemingly be a significantly more difficult game than the first one. I just wonder if that changes some of your rules in terms of how you want to go about things.
Yeah, well, I'm with you because there's going to come a time where you dip into that bag of magic and there's no tricks left in it, right? And then you're like, oh God, we used them all, and we don't have the ability to come back every single week. And so we've got to be detailed and fundamentally sound and keeping this game within reach, for all four quarters instead of just trying to find a way to claw back in the fourth. And so, look, that's going to require all three phases. I think the Bears' biggest advantage, in addition to Cairo, just comes on special teams. They hit a few big special teams plays the other night that helped them to hang around. You're going to have to do that again on Sunday. Defensively, you're going to have to find ways again to disrupt that quarterback. And this is not a team. The Rams don't easily beat themselves, and they were the least penalized team in the NFL during the regular season. They had some flag issues in Carolina that were uncharacteristic. And so, I mean, like, you've got to find your strengths. You got to lean into your strengths. And again, the running game offensively and the takeaway faucet, those are two things that you have to be able to count on Sunday if you want to be playing in the NFC Championship game a week from now.
Dan, you ask in The Athletic in a great story about some of the questions facing the Bears this Sunday. How good is Colston Loveland? It's a really good question because you wonder, is he good enough to have one of those games that is memorable and indelible and
another one of those games?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
That's a better way to put it. How good is he at this stage of the season?
Just had one of those games, right? 8 catches, 137 yards, that 2-point conversion. I was enamored with it from the moment that they shifted out of, the tight package into spreading everybody wide, with the 3 tight ends wide. And you're like, oh man, they're playing some chess here. And they created a matchup for Colston Loveland that he won easily, got a very key 2 points in that football game. And it was just sort of like this small snapshot into what a guy like that does for a quarterback and a play caller, where you're like, okay, we can just scheme this up and count on him to win. He has been so big in big moments over the last month. You start to envision the future 3-4 years out for him, and not just for him, but for him with Caleb and Ben. And you're like, the future's unlimited for this kid right now. And so Chicago should feel like, oh, like we may have, as Caleb said after the game on Saturday night, we hit a home run with this draft pick. And now it's a matter of how far that home run flies, right?
And they hit a home run with Caleb, it would certainly appear. Tell me, who are you most concerned? We'll see our first injury list today. Who are you most concerned about? Is it Big Bill? Didn't Caleb seem like he turned an ankle and was limping? I know they'll be working with him 24/7, but who are you most concerned about that may have an under the radar injury issue?
I think all of Chicago was concerned with Caleb when he went down there, when he looked like he kind of got kicked and rolled the ankle there. But he obviously rallied from that and was able to put together a fourth quarter that I think he had like 178, 181 passing yards in the fourth quarter, which is ridiculous. The health here is going to be interesting. Again, we talked about CJ Gardner-Johnson a little bit earlier. You want to make sure that like Gordon came through that game well enough to be able to get out there for a few full practices when they actually get on the practice field. I think today is going to be more of a walkthrough. Health is going to play into this game. Rams are getting their right guard, Kevin Dotson, back, it appears, which will help their offense. And you got to be ready. Like this, as much as Chicago has fallen for Ben Johnson, the Rams got a real one in Sean McVay, and he's going to do some things schematically and strategically to challenge you all day Sunday.
Great stuff, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.